In today's video, I will be reviewing a 2K Wi-Fi action camera that can record videos at 60 frames per second and also 30 frames per second in full HD, and on top of all of that take 16 megapixels photograph. Its name is Blackview Hero 1. Wait, what? Hero? Isn't that supposed to be a Go? Yeah, I know exactly which camera you have in mind right now. Blackview is a Hong Kong-based company founded in 2013. They are focused on producing Android phones mostly, but they decided to step up and enter the competitive action camera market by launching two controversially named cameras, Hero 1 and Hero 2. Plenty of people, including myself, dislike the product name, so if you agree, let's skip all this GoPro talk and just leave all these lawsuit things on GoPro and Blackview to figure out. I'm really not a lawyer and I'm not going to enter the discussion whether Blackview has the rights to name their camera Hero. Instead, let's focus on capabilities and performance of Blackview Hero 1, and most importantly, let's see if it is worth the $139 price tag. The things that separate this from a bunch of other Chinese action cameras or so-called GoPro alternatives is that it can record videos at 60 frames per second in full HD and take true 16 megapixels photograph. It has pretty good Sony sensor and large 2-inch LCD screen. Camera weighs around 71 grams with battery in it, and here you can see its dimensions. It can support memory card to up to 64 GB and can record videos and take photos in bunch of resolutions. It has quite a good battery comparing to a few other action cameras and supports two languages only, Chinese and English. So as I already said, there are two types of these cameras, Blackview Hero 1 and Blackview Hero 2. At this moment I preferred Blackview Hero 1 because of the Sony sensor it has in it, but if you would like to find out more about the differences between these two cameras, I will put a link in the description of this video where you can go to my blog and read side-by-side comparison of the specification of both of these cameras. First thing that I really liked about this camera is its packaging. Let's disregard the fact that my mailman plays soccer with my package before that, and I'm hoping that he had a great time, so my package arrived a bit dented due to the soccer match played at my post. Hero 1 is packed inside a box with plastic cover. Packaging is quite elegant, and I really like the fact that on the box there is not only a specification table but also an accessories list. Once you open the cover, you can remove the camera from the mount and open the secret compartment, which hides a bunch of bells and whistles. Now I will show you everything inside this box. As you can see, there is a tons of gear inside. Do not think that you will use all of this, and not all of them are quite useful. I like the fact that battery comes separate inside the box and not inside the camera. That means that battery won't drain out, and you can certainly use camera for a while when you receive it, because there will be some battery left, so you can always play at first. I hate when I receive a camera which has no battery and I cannot play with it much. I also like that they included the wall charger, though the one I received was for European wall types, which is good for me, but if you're in the US you might want to request a different adapter for US walls. If you're buying from GearBest, just add the note to your order and they will always include this gladly and for free. If you already had a chance to own an action camera or watch a few of the reviews, you will notice that most of them have the same accessories list. With Hero 1 there is no innovations, nothing new when it comes to gear, so it's pretty much standardized pattern that Chinese companies use. It's nothing super high quality, but it will be more than okay for most of the people. I personally never had issues with the gear quality of these Chinese cameras. I must point out that manual, or rather a flyer itself, is quite brief and does not offer much information, but do not worry about it, I will explain each and every function of this camera in a moment. People who prefer colorful products will be disappointed to know that this camera comes only in one color, white. Even though the shape and size is certainly nothing new to the market, I really like the design and clean look of the Blackview Hero 1, so white color did not bother me at all. The black line surrounding on-off button and lens gives Blackview Hero 1 an amusing look. It is interesting also that nowhere on the camera will you see Hero 1 branding, only the Blackview. One thing worth mentioning is that the camera has 2-inch LCD screen, which is quite bigger to some other cameras in same price range. LCD screen usually allows you not only to preview what you're recording, but also to preview your videos, photos and change settings. Camera uses 1050 mAh battery, which gives you around 100 minutes of recording time in 180p 30 and around an hour in 60 fps mode. As you see, battery life is not impressive, therefore I always recommend you to get 1 or 2 spare batteries which are not expensive, or you can get a power bank if you intend to use your camera continuously and for an extensive period of time. Camera supports a 64GB micro SD card, which is twice of the capacity of most of Chinese competitors. Additionally, it has 2GB internal memory. For best video result, it is highly recommended you use reputable memory brand cards, at least class 10. I have personally tried this camera with 3 different memory cards: Samsung 16GB, Sony 64GB microSD HC and Sony 16GB. All of these worked great. It's now time for me to show you how this camera performs in video terms, so I'll now show you a few video samples I have taken. I won't comment, I will play some music so that you can enjoy and watch the video samples that I took. Also, do not forget, for the best quality video samples, it is always recommended that you download these samples. Therefore, I will put a link in the description of this video where you can download raw samples and preview them on your own PC. You will see different resolutions and different options that this camera has, so if you're seriously considering buying this camera or any other, always download sample photo and video clips, and in my reviews I always include these in the description link. Camera can shoot video in few different resolutions, and now you see them on screen. The first one is 2K at 30 frames per second. Second one is Full HD at 60 and also 30 frames per second. If you are serious about using this as an action camera, 60 frames per second is quite good because it will create more realistic footage. However, for everything else 30 frames per second is quite good. The other two options are in HD mode and can record at 60 and 30 frames per second again, but when you have full HD, HD is nothing that you will use. With 16 megapixel lens and Sony sensor, Blackview Hero 1 fully fulfilled my expectation when it comes to photo quality. Images produced are very good, they are quite sharp and come in true 16 megapixels. It can easily compete with Xiaomi Yi, which was one of the best action cameras when it comes to taking photos. In my opinion, photo quality is great. Colors look natural, resolution is quite sharp, and once you zoom in the image you'll realize that it is true 16 megapixels and not some sort of interpolated resolution. And do not forget, you can download all these images and the link for it is in the description of this video. Let's now take a quick look at the camera and all of its buttons and functions. At the front of the camera you here have the on-off button. In order to turn the camera on you simply need to press it. And here is the thing, it is too easy to turn the camera on, so it happened to me a few times that I accidentally turned it on and it drained my battery inside my pocket. On the right hand side of the front of the camera you have the lens of course, and front corner you have what I believe is a G sensor. On top of the camera you have the OK button, which is also a shutter button and enables you to take quick photos and videos by pressing OK. Next to it is an orange LED indicator which will flash orange once you start recording. On the side of the camera we have a micro SD card slot, a USB port and an HDMI port. On the side here we have the LED indicator which will indicate whether or not your camera is turned on and will also flash if you start recording video. Below it is a charging indicator which will turn on when you charge your camera and turn off when your camera is fully charged. At the back of course here is a LCD where you can preview your footage and see what you're recording. On the other side of the camera we have two navigational buttons and also built-in microphone. At the bottom of the camera we have a battery compartment which is a bit fiddly to open and I just do not like the way it opens. It feels a bit cheap and insecure, though it never happened to me that it opened accidentally. You should be careful with it. On top of that, it takes rocket scientists to figure out how to return this back door on its place. The on-off button is also used to switch through different modes of the camera. Before I show you the entire settings and setup of this camera and all options it has, I would like to point out that overall user navigation of this camera is simply terrible. To make things even weirder, on the manufacturer's product page they said that every tiny detail of this device is optimized for user experience. That is outrageous. I do not know if they were being sarcastic or what, but this camera is everything but optimized for user experience. It is so hard to navigate through the camera and I literally wanted to pull my hair out a few times. Blackview has a mountain to climb and I really hope that in future firmware they will improve user navigation and make things easier, because Blackview Hero 1 has probably one of the most annoying interfaces I have ever seen in action camera. Don't take my word for granted, you'll now see what I'm talking about. If you think I was whining unnecessarily about annoying user navigation, I dare you to try to switch through different modes. As I mentioned, camera has different modes: video, photo and preview. Video is for recording videos, photo for taking photos, and preview is for previewing the footage you have taken. To switch between different modes, not press the upper navigation arrow button, which is one here. So, to switch from photo to video or video to photo preview mode, you have to hold the upper navigation button. Maybe I'm an idiot, but it happened to me a few times that I hold this button shorter than it should, so instead of switching modes, I entered setup and etc. Quite frustrating. If you want to change settings, you first need to, of course, choose the video or photo mode and then just shortly press the upper arrow button and enter its settings. In order to navigate through the settings, it might seem logical that you need to press up and down, but it's not true. If you press down, you will indeed go through navigation, but if you want to go back up, you cannot do it. Because if you press up button, it will go to general settings such as languages, format, default setting, etc. So basically you have just this one button which will enable you to go through different modes. Quite frustrating. I just cannot believe that these guys made great camera and totally fucked up user navigation. Makes no sense at all. Okay, now that I managed to find a way through rather idiotic navigation, it's time to show you the settings that this camera has. Even though most of action cameras in similar price range have lots of options that can help you change your creativity and your footage, this camera is pretty simple and limited when it comes to changes you can do to your photo and video. It basically does everything itself on auto, so they did not include much choice such as white balance, exposure and so on. Besides some standard options which are pretty self-explanatory and I won't cover them in this video, here are most basic setup you can choose. So you have quality here. If by any chance you wish to downgrade the quality of your video, you can go inside the setup and choose superfine, fine or normal. Superfine is the highest, fine is medium and normal is the lowest quality. Auto power off is a great option that allows you to set time interval in which camera should turn off if it is idle. So if you're not recording or touching any buttons, camera will turn off automatically. This is a lifesaver, since if you're oblivious like I am, you probably will forget to turn off the camera at one point. So you can choose from these intervals 1, 3 or 5 minutes, or choose off to disable the auto shutting down. One interesting thing is that you will hear a countdown timer if you have the button sound enabled before camera automatically turns off. In order to save as much battery as possible, I keep mine always at 3 minutes. Auto backlight is similar to auto power. This option will turn off the display only. Depending on which time you specify, the display will black out, which again saves a lot of battery, but you of course can wake it up anytime. If you're irritated by the beep sound camera produces, you can disable it, turning button sound off. And that is pretty much everything. I'm quite disappointed when it comes to options that this camera offers, so there is not much manual control that you can get over videos or photos, but it is good for beginners, as I said. You can of course change anything in post-production in video editing softwares, but I prefer when I have some manual controls, so this is one downside, that camera does not offer many manual control over it. Blackview Hero 1 is a Wi-Fi camera, which means that it can connect to your mobile device or tablet via the Wi-Fi. This means that you can control it remotely, you can take photos, videos, download footage directly to your mobile devices, etc. You can also change settings in it. I was very unpleasantly surprised when I figured out that Blackview did not make their own app. They're using some sort of third-party app, which is called the Linkin Eyes. This is the app that some other action camera manufacturers also recommend, but I do not like when camera does not have its own app. There is always a risk with the third-party apps, and I really would like to see Blackview having their own app. I hope they are working on it, but I do not have any confirmation. Since this is not their own app and there are plenty of other videos explaining how to use Linkin Eyes app, I'm basically going to skip this whole Wi-Fi settings. However, if you would like to learn more how to connect to Wi-Fi and some most basic Wi-Fi option, and also see overview of app interface, I'll put a link to article on my blog. I explained everything there in detail. Basically, I explained each and every button, each and every option, so you can go to my blog and read about it. Okay, besides all the settings that you can adjust inside the app, I would like to point out that there is one option that is exclusive to app only. So far, this option called burst shooting is not available inside the camera, and this option will enable you to photograph fast moving objects or sport events. By enabling this, your camera will take 3 continuous images once you press the shutter button. I have no idea why they excluded this feature from camera setup, but I hope they will implement it in their next firmware update. Okay guys, I hope you're enjoying this video so far. It's time to summarize everything about Blackview Hero 1. So this summary is based on my experience of using this camera for a few weeks. In my opinion, Blackview Hero 1 is awesome camera. It produces great 16 megapixel photographs, sharp videos in fantastic wide angle. Huge positive thing is that it can record 2K video and record at 60 frames per second in full HD. One more advantage is that it has absolutely amazing Sony sensor, which makes sure that your camera performs good even when facing direct sunlight. One more thing in favor of this camera is that it has a decent battery life considering its large screen at the back. I like the fact that it allows you to control battery consumption by selecting screensaver and auto power off options. Speaking to screen, it is quite useful to have a screen this big because it allows you to preview what you're recording and makes things much easier when taking photographs especially. The Wi-Fi app is pretty simple and easy to use, which is a huge plus. However, this app is not their own, so I do not like the fact that they do not have their own app, and I hope they will launch one very soon because it makes no sense to use third-party apps. Packing of the camera is great and it comes with a lot of additional gear inside. Besides having a weird name, this camera is also a bit pricey pairing it to other Chinese action camera and gives slightly more fisheye distortion. I must agree that video and photo quality it offers and all the gear that comes with it really justifies its price. User interface and navigation is annoying and gives a lot of headache. Additionally, my camera had problems with transferring files to a PC, but I managed to fix this by using a USB cable provided with this camera. So if you're using any other USB cable, you might have problems transferring files to a PC, so make sure that you're using the cable that came inside the box. I also do not like the fact that this camera does not leave too much to us to play with. It does everything automatically and sets everything up automatically, so there is not much you can do to enhance your creativity and make your videos and photos different. There is no white balance settings, there is no ISO, there is no exposure control, nothing. For new users this is probably an advantage, but for people like me who want to have more creativity and freedom while making videos and photos, it is a slight disadvantage. To sum up, after a few weeks of using this camera on a regular basis in both indoors and outdoors, I can say that it is pretty decent product that has few bugs that have to be ironed up in the next software update. If you're a tech savvy person, you will get used to navigation after a few days, but if you're not, be aware that it takes a lot of time. It is a huge learning curve. Even though this camera cannot be called under $100 camera, it is pretty good choice for people who can stretch to up to $140. Of course, if this camera is a bit pricey for you, I'll put a link where you can see some other cameras that do not have all the features of this one, but are a bit cheaper. As always guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or you found an error in this video, please let me know in the comments. I'll gladly answer all of your guys' questions and help you out choose the best camera for yourself. So thanks for watching, it means a lot, and see you as always in the next video. Bye bye.